Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Riga Business School for those who are here for the first time, and welcome back for those who have seen some faces around. I'm seeing some faces which have been for a year at least around, and some faculty. Welcome to Bachelor of Business Administration Open House. My name is Jānis Grēviņš, and I'm a director of Riga Business School. I've been in this position for the last 10 years. And it's my pleasure to open this evening with a very prominent guest we have today, who will represent one of our partner institutions and kind of a partner philosophy. And it's Tom Erdal. He's Chief Financial Officer of DNB Bank. And he's a graduate of Norwegian School of Management, BI. And I think what I read, all his career has been with the bank.
Almost,
yeah. So he's kind of a very, very classical banker who's built his career in the bank and currently is the Chief Financial Officer here at DNB Riga division. So without further ado, I'll give the floor to Tom. Thank you, Tom, for the nice books about finances.
Yeah, about life, actually.
Yes.
About life, more than finance, yeah?
Yeah.
I will comment on that. Yeah.
And then we'll come back. So,
Yeah.
floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Labdien. My name is Tom Erdal. I have been in Riga for 1.5 years. And my intention is to stay in Riga for at least a couple of more years. Before I present something about myself and about BI and Riga Business School, then I just want to tell you that this school has educated 1,000 students during the last 15-20 years. And 35% of these students are today, they have a leading position in society, in small or big companies. So you are in the right place and you are in the application process to attend this school or another school. I will recommend you to fulfill the application process regarding Riga Business School and be a part of this 35% in some years and take a position out there in society in Latvia or in Norway or in the UK. I don't know what dreams you have. Anyway, I will tell something about myself. I have been 26 years in DNB. I don't know if you think, oh my God, is that possible? I don't think anybody of you think that you will stay in one company for 26 years. You're not 26 years yet, okay? So that is a challenge today. People are moving around, and for me, it has been a fantastic journey in DNB. That's why I'm still here. And my targets and my education and my, hopefully, lifestyle, that's the main reason for why I'm here in Riga. And that I have been given this opportunity to take this CFO position in Riga for some years. I'm also responsible or the chairman of something called the Norwegian Chamber of Commerce. If you have questions about that, we have almost all countries, they have chambers in almost all other countries. So I'm head of the chamber, the Norwegian Chamber here in Latvia. I took my first master in '84 at BI, the partner school of RBS, and then I thought some years ago that because many youngsters started in DNB, and then 15 years ago, I decided to fresh up my education. So I took a new master. So this is my background regarding experience and education. Then 1 second about DNB in Latvia. We are here in Latvia, we are, as you see, 810 employees. We have 275,000 customers. We are 100% owned by DNB ASA in Norway, and we are one of the universal banks in Latvia, behind Swed, SEB and Nordea. But we have approximately 12-14% market share in Latvia. So quite substantial part of the Latvian banking society. And as you see, we can cover all needs, talking about private customers and legal entities. And we have been here for 10-12 years. Then RBS, Riga Business School, and BI. It's easy to say BI. It's a very difficult in Norway, in Norwegian. It's Bedriftsøkonomisk Institutt. It's a difficult Norwegian name. We have established with BI here from RBS 1.5 years ago a partnership with the Norwegian Business School. And I will come back to what kind of opportunity and possibility that will give you if you start up the bachelor program here in this school. The bachelor program here in Riga Business School is based on the program from Norway. And BI in Norway was founded 60 years ago. So we have an extended experience building up different kind of programs for students in Norway. One of the huge possibilities you have if you start up here at the Riga Business School is that if you then fulfill the two first years here, then you can go to Oslo and take the third year in Oslo, and then you can have this dual diploma, meaning that you have a bachelor degree from Riga Business School and from BI. So, you see, BI was founded in 1943. The largest provider of education in Norway. State of the art, it's a fantastic campus. I have been there many, many times. This was built after my degrees, but anyway, I have been there several times, and it's outstanding. Then I will not go through these kind of certificates. Maybe you will come back to that later today. But my point is here, you see, this is one accreditation, this is another, and this is the third one. And if these plans, according to these plans, then BI in Oslo will be accredited for these three different kind of institutions. And BI will then be one of the 59 schools or universities and business schools worldwide with triple accreditation. And we have thousands of universities in the world. So then RBS has a partnership with one of the most extended business schools worldwide from Oslo. So here you see the opportunity this study will give you. Given that you are clever enough to fulfill these 4 first semesters, then you have the opportunity to take and to fulfill the bachelor within international business or shipping management. The international business, I think most of you, if you are here at all, then I think this bachelor is the most common bachelor. And you see, this bachelor is about companies engaging in cross-border economic activities or doing business abroad. And this is the program for the last 2 semesters. And I will not go into deep here, but maybe we will come back to this later today. The other one is then the shipping management. And this area, I will recommend you at least to think about this, because the shipping industry, maybe not yet in Latvia, but in Norway, you know, we are one of maybe the biggest shipping environment worldwide. And this is a great opportunity for you, in 2 years if you attend to this program in Oslo. Think about it. So, my experience and why am I then, how has I reached this position in DNB and be an employer for 26 years? To be a student at BI or a Riga business school, you will meet a school with extensive, modern and relevant study program. You will meet a school with an international orientation, and that is needed. I think most of you have a dream to go abroad during your life. Maybe not in 2-3 years, but at least during your life you have to work, or you should work abroad. This education will give you a great opportunity to fulfill that part of your dreams. You will meet professors with outstanding first-hand experience, able to share great insight and explain the application of theory. And you will meet students and professors and the staff here where you can work together with and discuss different cases. And you will, I think you know, this is life. Without the ability to work in teams, then you will never succeed. And you will feel that RBS will take care of this kind of competence. And high expectations give high achievements. I will tell something about my journey in 2 minutes. So this is my 5 bullet points where I sum up my experience, how it is to study in BI or then /RBS. So, why study? Why spend a lot of years to study instead of earning money? You can go out there and earn some money today. And maybe you are already. So why study at all? I will say, I have some reasons. These are my reasons why to study. To learn more, obviously. To be more informed. To be more interesting as a person. To earn money, to live your life and to support your family. And to meet interesting people. That's my answers why to study. Where to study? Well, I recommend Riga Business School. That's why I'm here, okay? That's why you are here, maybe. And the main reason for recommending Riga Business School is the international orientation of this school, where you find professors with outstanding field experience, a school or a business school with a modern infrastructure, and where the school help you to find, to filter, and to understand various sources of information. You have more than enough information out there. And the challenge is to find out what is relevant for you and for your study. And this school can help you with that. Okay, then, how to study? I think all of you have your own style. And maybe some of you are not, we cannot adjust you maybe. You have found your own style how to study. I will say that you have to, turning into a bachelor here or whenever, here or at any other school worldwide, you have to organize your days, you have to organize your weeks. Of course you have to. And I said to my daughters, concentrate. Study when you are studying. Party when you are partying. Hunt when you are hunting. But study when you are studying. That's the main thing. And if you have a day when you feel that, no, I'm not in the mood for study, take a break. 1 hour, maybe 1 day. But study when you are studying. Use RBS, use the school. Ask for help when you hit the wall, because you will hit the wall. Not only 1 time, but many times. So use the school, use the professors. They will help you. And discuss and work together with your teammates, the other students. If you think that you are able to do this alone, well, rethink. That's my advice. do this together with the school and your teammates. So, how to live? How to live, given that you are now starting up a bachelor study from August, September. Organize your days. Again, organize your days. Socialize. Get a life additional to RBS. Get a life additional to RBS. How to live. Be positive. And then I will share with you my main life rule. How to live. Of course, be honest, be predictable, be nice. But my life rule is formulate good questions. Listen to me. Formulate good questions. These questions will create good conversations and add value to your life. Because it's difficult to find the answer without a good question. So I want you at least to remember this from these 15 minutes. Create good questions. At school, at home, with your friends, with your fiancé or whatever. Okay? And then you will have good discussions. So, this school can influence your life and your future. And maybe I have given you some advice during these 10 minutes. Then, have you heard about this guy? Have you heard about this guy? From Chicago. Actually a hero. He killed a lot of people. A hero. Born in 1899 and he died 50 years after. Actually 48 years after. We want to live more than 48 years, okay? So, moving this saying from Al Capone, you can go a long way with a smile, but you can go a lot farther with a smile and a gun. Then I will give you this. Okay? So, still, the most important thing in life is the smile, the positive attitude, and this question thing, okay? A smile and this question thing, and this one. Hopefully you will remember this in your application process during the summertime, okay? Thank you. Any questions or comments to my smiley comments or question comments or... I see a lot of smiles here, so that's good. Any questions? Anything? About Norway, about BI, about Bachelor, about Master, about life. Yeah, come on.
How do you know so many about the school? About RBS?
How?
Yeah.
Well, when I am asked to do a thing like this, then I prepare. So I have talked with a lot of people. I have been through everything on the internet and learning on RBS. So that's my question. I have not studied here. And also Claudio, who cannot participate today. Have they met Claudio? Okay, the what's his position? He's head of the bachelor program at this school. Anyway, I am together with him at least one time a month. So we are talking about life and different schools. So that's my answer. Anything else? About Norway? Anything? No? Okay. Thank you, then. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Okay. And good luck to you, okay? And have a nice summer. Yes. And see you in the autumn here, okay?
Okay, so now it will be a fun. So the more introduction about myself. I'm a graduate of University of Buffalo. So we kind of have a fun to share as we talked. You know, after the first years here in Riga, you will have a choice to go to Oslo or to go to Buffalo. Does anybody know where Buffalo is? Okay, so far so good. Where in U.S.? Okay, New York State. Okay, where in New York State? No. western side. Probably is what's the best known landmark, what the people probably know worldwide, which is close to Buffalo. Big Falls. Honeymoon, yeah. Big Falls and Honeymoon. Big waterfalls. No, where is Victoria? Victoria is in Africa. Okay, what's in the US? Yes. It's the biggest falls and the shortest river in the world. And the river is, 30 kilometers long? 35 kilometers long. And it has the world's biggest falls by the water volume. So, okay, so Buffalo is about 20-minute drive from Niagara Falls. So when I was studying there, I was spent most of the time. Very often when we wanted to go out, we went to Niagara Falls. As easy as that. So now I have to give a little bit of presentation about Riga Business School, and Tom already talked a little bit about it. We were founded in 1991, and University of Buffalo was one of the founding universities at that time. So we are more than 20 years old. Up till last year, all we did was training MBAs or training managers. And I think it was a kind of nice joke by Tom when he made this comparison with Al Capone and having Smile and a gun. I think I would paraphrase it, you know, management, it's sometimes managers are referred to be as hired guns. Simply that they do what they are told, and in some sense, that's what I believe it is in a positive way. So smile and be prepared to do things in organizations, in management. That's what this school is all about, and that's what this school has been all about since the first day. In terms of our ambitions and what we do, we try to bring a best of global knowledge in management to Latvia. So in order to accomplish that, we have done some significant things. We worked with Harvard Business School, and we were one of the first in Eastern Europe to make an agreement to use their instructional materials. We have this auditorium. Today, this is one of the top auditoriums in Eastern Europe. How we got it? Simply our graduates donated it. As simple as that. You can imagine what we can do here. Currently, this event is streamed on the internet, simply because for the people who couldn't come, that they can watch. We can also handle classes from abroad. And if you study here, you will be having classes from either BI or from Buffalo to this classroom by faculty from those schools. And we record things so that if you don't catch something in the class, you can watch it later at home. That's all what this classroom can do automatically. So then in 12, we established partnership with BI. Why with BI? In Riga, we are referred to as an American school. Why? Because we have been established by American University, and philosophically we believe that management education was originally founded in the United States and probably today is still perfectioned in the United States. With a format, with attitudes, with style, how to teach, that's what we kind of refer to. Are there in Europe other schools which teach the same way? Yes. Are there schools in the United States which teach differently than here? Yes, of course. But when we talked to BI, it was very clear that our value system is the same. what it means, and I think Tom talked about it a little bit, but value system in terms of quality of training. Number two is that we provide you with more than you can handle. It's your choice, and you will see that as you study. You will be able to take as many courses as you want. It's your choice. So, take more courses, become smarter. You are will become better employees to get higher salaries. I think it was very important thing also with what Tom referred, and I would want to talk about that in a broader sense. Tom talked about when you study, you study. Your next couple of years will be for your studies. Believe me, today's world is very, 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 very competitive. And also, and believe me, I am more than 40. More than twice as old as you. There is a time when you hit 25, 27, 30, when somehow the knowledge doesn't get into the head anymore. But the knowledge which got into the head between 8 up to like this 22, 23, 24, it still sticks there. And that's also the challenge for you. I know a lot of people in Latvia like to work and study. With all due respect, it's a little bit of a waste of time and waste of your physiological capabilities. Study and then go to work and then earn the money. But you can earn while you are studying, that will be small money compared to what you can earn after your studies. So think about it. And so philosophically, it's the same opportunity we provide you here as you would experience in Buffalo and or in BI. That there are more courses, there's more than one way how you take those courses to get through the program, to satisfy the requirements, but also to learn something more than to satisfy the requirements. And that has been the philosophy for our MBA program and also for baccalaureate program. So that's philosophically why we chose BI. So these are the people who employ our alumni. I think some of them, about half of these, the first person in those companies is our alumni. So, and these people are close-knit community around the school. When last year, when we were looking for internships for our last year's baccalaureate students, we got twice as many offers to have first-year RBS students than there were students. And that just came from the companies who employ our graduates, who are run by RBS alumni. So this is a strong community. I think you heard a little bit of BI Norwegian Business School. It's one of the largest business schools in Europe. It's probably also one of the largest in the world. UB, it's a flagship campus of State University of New York. I think today State University of New York is one of the biggest university systems in the world. So it unites 64 universities under one system, which is called State University of New York. And Buffalo is probably the most international and highest ranked in management and all other, like in a lot of science areas and research. So it's about a 26,000 student university and has a distinct campus outside of the city of Buffalo. So naturally with this size, it can offer a lot of courses. If you decide for last year to go to Buffalo, the things really what you will be learning there, as Tom described in BI, was about the shipping industry, shipping management, and international management. In Buffalo, you will have marketing, finance, management information systems, human resource management, 2 more concentrations. So again, there's a lot of elective courses where you can concentrate on the courses you want to learn to be able to compete in the job market. That's all about the provide you with opportunities. And in short and in long, that's I guess all which I want to say before I go floor to Dagnija to get into the technical details. So from my perspective, like the takeaway from what I want you to take away and what I say everybody. First of all, this is a critical moment in your life. Think about it wisely. Number 2, be prepared to study. No matter which university you go to, RBS, Stockholm School, Riseba, University of Latvia, whatever programs, make sure that you study full time. Because believe me, I studied in University at Buffalo for 8 years. So I have my master's and my Ph.D. from there. And we were, when I was in my Ph.D. program, we were like, in my department we were 20 students, 20 Ph.D. students. About 15 of them came from Asia. And these people were studying what I believed was at least 15 hours a day. If we kind of were like, oh, maybe we will figure it out, these people were just working. In the research area, there need to make some changes in the report or an article. Yes, over the night, next morning, they're done. They had their families with them. So all the food was delivered by the family right to the office so they can work. And that's, I think, what we and you have to understand. Between the age of 18 and 22, 25, there are around the world millions of people who will study full-time 10 to 14 hours a day. And this is not about that you just study, it's about just the philosophies. They are accumulating knowledge. And you will know, more you get that knowledge, faster you'll be learning the next year. That's how it goes. If you just say, oh, I'll be studying 2-3 hours a day, yeah, that's probably will be it. But in future, to compete, you'll be forced to work. You will have to work with these people from Asia, the Americas, Africa, Europe, Russia. And there will definitely are schools and there are people who had been studied those times. So think about that. No matter what you choose, study, study, study. There's time for parties and party. Studies and study. And thank you. Okay, so now the floor is yours.
So first of all, good afternoon. My name is Dagnija. Again, I need to repeat Jānis, who haven't met me. A few of you have. I'm Management Program Advisor here at Riga Business School, and I will get to information about the actual program information to tell you about what you have to do to enroll if you got interested and so on. But of course, I need to thank Jānis and also Toms for giving you a rich overview who we are, what we do, and who our partners are. But to start with, I'd like to show you a video that, in my mind, gives a very good kind of understanding what our students and faculty do with the program.
Personal challenge.
Intensive.
Educational.
Excellent.
Global.
RBS has a very unique characteristic, which unfortunately nowadays is quite rare to find, that each student is approached as a person and not as a mere number, with a very international and open-minded faculty members, it makes it easier to create a real relationship between professor and student, and is much more effective. As I have studied in several countries like the US, Switzerland and Brazil, I have never seen such a serious approach to business as here in RBS. And still, they are able to make it in a very lively way.
I wanted to challenge myself, and I did it. I joined a great community of knowledge, experience, and challenge, and it was the best decision I have made. Even more, it's a real business school, and already now I can implement my dream business idea in a real life, using the school's offered startup lab opportunities. This is a real out-of-box environment, and you can be part of it and make your dreams come true. Join our team.
Hello, we offer at RBS the best option for your studies. Here everything is about excellence. Why? For very simple reasons. First, we have a great program because we do it in cooperation with some of the best business schools in the world. BI from Oslo, USB from South Africa, Ottawa from Canada, Buffalo from New York. Second, you come here to a community where we will take care of you. Third, RBS is a platform where you will be able to build your dream business and invest from the very first day of your studies. And fourth, last but not least, RBS is a school in Latvia with faculty and staff from the 5 continents. Come to RBS and you will have an exciting time.
Deloitte in Latvia believes that exceptional service to clients can be delivered only by exceptional people, and because of positive energy, great enthusiasm, skills, and strong academic and practical background that is common to all RBS BBA students, Deloitte in Latvia is open to welcome these graduates to the firm for future opportunities.
That was really in a nutshell, and really like a visual way to show what the program is about. About the program itself, about the structure, it's one program, but there are 3 options. So you can spend all 3 years here in Riga and get Latvian RBS diploma. Second, you can do first 2 years in Riga and the third one in Norway, and that's what Tom was referring to. He was basically speaking of this cooperation. And then you also have a third option to spend 3 years here in Riga and go for the first one to US and have a double degree from University at Buffalo. But the program is one. And also you don't have to make a decision right away, like prior the application or with the application process. You can, bless you, you can make a decision like at the second year. The program for both, for the first and for the second option looks like this. So either you stay all 3 years here, or you go for the third one to Oslo. The program, the subjects will be like this. What is very important and what kind of differentiates us from other programs is that here you have the really major subjects already in the first semester. Like for instance, the firm, which gives you a very, very broad understanding of the full picture, how the business processes are. And we have also today a faculty member who is instructing this course, and he will tell you more about that. Also, like marketing, accounting, that usually happens in other programs from the second year. But for us, it's very important that you understand from the very beginning that you are really interested in this major management. Also, what is important, the practical approach and what you, of course, that you can implement. and that you can apply the theoretical knowledge into real life. Therefore, there are 2 internships that are mandatory and that are within the program after the first year and then after the second. And those are really real job experiences, not like carrying papers from one table to another, but working in the companies and very often in collaboration with our alumni that were mentioned before. And that's also the first BBA program in Latvia. And to be a BBA, similar like to be an MBA program, we have to really align with certain standards. About UB, here you see the subjects for the 4th year, if you would spend that year in US. And the difference is that you would have certain liberal arts subjects. Liberal arts is a very popular concept in US higher education system, which gives you kind of the broader understanding of life that helps you to broaden your horizons and enhance your critical reasoning, critical thinking. And Lester also will be able to talk a bit more about this concept. But what's important is that thanks to this collaboration, we have this very important accreditation that Tom was referring to, that BI is getting in 2014, but UB has it already. And faculty, to be the BBA program, we have to have at least 50% of our faculties from abroad. So 50% of our faculty are international, and also even more who has experience, either professional or academic, abroad. And it's my pleasure to introduce you to one of our faculty members, Lester Golden, who is tremendously interesting personality with really broad understanding, who has read, I think, half of the books that are written and published in the world. So, Lester, please tell a bit more about your courses you teach.
Thank you. Sveiki, здравствуйте. Buenos días, buongiorno, bonjour, guten tag. At RBS, you're going to be in Norway, the USA, and Latvia simultaneously. I'm one of the American pieces of the puzzle. What we try to do, or what I try to do, is essentially to give you the education that I had. I got a BA in history from Hampshire College in Amherst, Massachusetts, and then a graduate degree in history from UCLA, and then an MBA from the Fuqua School of Business at Duke University. I've lived in Spain for 3 years, Italy for 16 years, France for 2 summers. That's where I got all those languages from buying a bunch of one-way plane tickets. And one of the essentials to the way I teach is critical thinking, research. I did a thesis on the Spanish Civil War, interviewed lots of war veterans in order to do that. And what you get when you take the firm is you learn how to dig. You learn how to drill down into companies, how they work. And you learn not just the what, but the how. In other words, we teach you how to think. It's not about teaching you what to think. Central planning doesn't work in economics, and it doesn't work in academics either. So we don't believe in central planning. We don't believe in teaching you top-down. And the idea is to teach you with a mode of inquiry, which is what I learned at Hampshire College, how to drill down yourself, and when you acquire this skill set, you will then be able to teach yourself anything 15, 20, 30 years later. That will require unlearning certain high school habits, which involves expecting the right answer from the teacher. In the firm, there aren't any right answers. There are just good arguments, strong arguments, and weak arguments. Some students find this very disorienting initially, but it's kind of like the shock therapy that Eastern Europe went through in 1991. Yeah, it's a shock at first, but you get over it and you get used to it. One of the essentials to this process is acquiring certain skills in written expression. In other words, writing precisely, how to use language with precision, and you will get lots of help both from me and from the English teacher, Tatiana, in how to write more precisely. If you write well, that's great. If you don't, you will learn. Another thing you learn to do is to debate. The firm has 6 different debates. Each student does 2 of them, in which you get up here and you take a topic, like for ethics. Well, you debate, were the atomic bombings of Japan morally justifiable? And then you also debate the trolley problem. There's a fat man on a bridge. There's a trolley about to run over 5 construction workers. Is it justifiable to push the fat man over the bridge? A moral dilemma. That's part of business ethics. Sometimes you don't have a choice between good and bad, only bad and worse. Okay, if you are shy, after you debate in the firm, you'll be a lot less shy. Okay, my 3 courses are not just academic. The firm is interdisciplinary. There's lots of cross-fertilization between faculty. I find lots of articles in the course of doing investment research about accounting fraud, about how managements engage in legal but borderline accounting fraud. I hand them all to Yeva, the accounting professor, and she likes them very much. Also, all the faculty here have hands-on experience. Some of my hands-on experience you can see here. For 20 years, I had an ad agency. You can pass these around. On the cards are some of my clients. And I also came to Latvia starting in 1998 and developed some real estate. I raised money for my brother's private equity real estate fund, so I have a good idea of how hedge funds raise money. I've known the booms and I've known the crashes. Have I been burned in the crashes? Yes. And so you will learn about fat tails, highly improbable random events, and about where crashes come from. And you're going to fly with funny money. You're going to fly in the simulator. You'll do a game on our website called Stock Track, in which you will play a trading game, and I will play it with you. And this is so that in 20 years, when you fly up into combat with real money, you don't get burnt, you don't get shot down. Have I been shot down? Yep, I have. And part of the game is learning history. I'm an historian. If you don't know history and you're investing money, you have no idea where you're going. In other words, if you don't know where markets and cycles have been, you will not know where you're going. It is extremely dangerous to invest money with no sense of history. Did I do that about 10 years ago? Yeah, I did. Did I get burned in 2008? Yep. I hope you benefit from my experience. Next year, I am currently designing a course which is from the University of Buffalo, a World Civilizations course, and so you will also get a history course which will go from the Neolithic Revolution to the day before yesterday. And the idea I have about teaching history is not the oh, by the way, who hates history? Who has hated history? Okay? The way we will teach history here will be antithetical to every history course you have ever come into contact in high school. It's not about memorizing isolated facts and dates. It will not be chronological. It will be thematic. You study certain themes, and you stick to those themes. For example, you want to study, for 6 or 7 classes, we study war and empire. 6 or 7 classes, we study oligarchy, tyranny, and democracy. And we go from the Greeks to the Romans to the Americans to the British, around the world, different civilizations, but the same problems. History is fascinating. I used to say to my students at UCLA, where I did teach for 2 years, History is fascinating, but stay out of the way. You can get run over. If you live in this neighborhood in Eastern Europe, you, through your families, know more than almost anybody in any part of the world how you can get run over by history. I lived in Portugal in 1974. I watched Portuguese fascism die in a revolution. Then I lived in Spain in 1976. I watched Spanish fascism die. Both experiences were beautiful. Fortunately, I was born after 1945 in North America, so I haven't gotten run over by history. But I've talked to a lot of people who have. And my grandmother on my mother's side sailed to New York from Liepaja in 1906. So I do have a slight connection with this part of the world. I am very happy she sailed to New York. Okay? One of the things you learn in history, whether it has to do with markets, in studying investments in the spring with my course, The Firm is Investment, in which you also do things like options and futures and all kinds of other financial nuclear weapons. Edix will be able to tell you how dangerous they are. You also do things like do videos, experimental videos on subjects of your own choosing about the sources of human error in financial decision making. Okay, Edix had the good fortune to do an experimental video on both me and Jānis Grēviņš. In other words, I have been my student's lab rat. We had a very good time. On the RBS website, you can look at Lester and Jānis being financial laboratory rats and see that the sources of human error are fairly universal. One key to how we teach here is constantly fostering critical thinking and learning by analogy, not learning the way you have traditionally been taught in a more hierarchical environment in the past. So if you come, it'll be a very interesting, creative, and wild ride. Thank you very much.
Maybe any questions for Lester?
Questions?
No?
Okay.
About the setting, what I really want to emphasize before students talk, how they learn and so on, it's very important to understand that that's a full-time program. Full-time program where all classes happen like on work days from 9 to 1 p.m. That means it's not really possible to combine that with work. Because very many people ask us, is it possible? Because we have, usually how it happens, students do it really simultaneously. They study and they work, but here it's not really possible. Unless it's like some part-time job or you have some small private business. Some of our students do that, but otherwise not really. After 1 p.m. what happens? There are many other things they do besides schoolwork, besides the lectures. They're like mentorship sessions, and they can meet with the faculty members and talk about their problems, issues, so we can like help them to solve them right away. They have, of course, assignments. That's like the common sense. But for those who might have any issues, problems with math or with English, they're free of charge tutorials, like extra lessons that might help you to succeed. Also, Startup Lab, when you can join kind of the club and to develop your ideas, business ideas, in order to implement them somewhere in the near future. But these are things that really our students, two of our students who are here today, will tell you more about. But what's really important from this slide, that that's a full-time program. So 3-year full-time program that we have here. Internships, we mentioned 2 internships, which is the part of the program after the 1st and 2nd years. These are some of the companies that do these placements for our students. Those are really with the help and support of our alumni, but that's not necessarily. You can, of course, find them on your own as well. We only assist. We do not really guarantee them. And before the program starts, we organize so-called orientation week, when you can meet all the freshman students. It's a lot about team building and gathering, knowing better each other, and so on. But that's, again, students will be able to tell about more, of course, fun they have there, and so on. So when you come to the classroom in September, then you know each other already, and there are no bunch of strangers anymore. That's end of August. What to do, what are the criteria, and what to do to be enrolled, admitted into the program. Basically, you have to have secondary education, obviously. As the program is fully instructed in English, then we care whether you have substantial English, and therefore we ask TOEFL test or IELTS if you have taken it. Our intention is to develop you not only professionally to be a good managers, but also to add to your kind of personal values and so on. Therefore, already at this application point, it's important for us to get to know you better, who you are. So we ask you to tell us what you have done, what you have achieved in the essay. Also, we ask 2 recommendation letters, either from your teachers or any other leaders you have worked with for the same reason. And on top of it, there is interview, when we talk over what you have written in your application, what people have written about you, so that there's a full picture, and we know if our goals matches with yours. About the TOEFL, we organize our own TOEFL sessions, paper-based testing sessions, and now for the September fall admissions, there's only one date, one testing session when you can take it, and it's already next Saturday. What's good news are that for potential bachelor students, it's free of charge. But of course you can't use it for other purposes, only for like our school, as they pay for that. If you have taken official TOEFL IBT or IELTS, of course we accept that one too. And if you have studied in English-speaking country for some exchange year, or you have even diploma from English-speaking country, then we waive TOEFL. But if we speak about this testing session next Saturday, it's very important to keep that in mind and register as soon as possible if you would like to apply for this program. Extracurricular activities, so not only like personal statement and you see the particular topic we ask you to write about and word limit, but in the application form there's a section extracurricular activities when you can tell about anything you have done, either it's sports or you have sang in a choir or debated, done like some debates or anything. Just how active you have been. And like I said, recommendation letters is not only from teachers. Those can be either employers if you have worked during summers or sports trainers and so on. And application deadline, now we have only one application deadline, which is July 15th, probably very similar to other schools. So we need to receive all the documents till July 15th. To sum it up, first it's application. In parallel with that, you register for TOEFL on 6th of July. Then all the copies of secondary school transcripts and diplomas Once we have all that, then we arrange the interview. You come for the interview, and then afterwards, hopefully, you receive the positive admissions decision. How much does it cost? Here are the fees. So there's the one price for annual fee for the program done in Latvia, in Riga, and then there's difference if you do either the third year in BI or fourth year at UB. The payments are done by semester. Not like you don't have to pay like annual fee right away. It's like semester based, and you can also split it if needed. Also, many of our students take loans. Since the program is accredited, then of course you can also get the state guarantee loans. This year it's from SEB Bank, and also we have cooperation with Nordea. But of course, you can take it also from other banks. It's up to you. And to summarize, even though it was talked a lot about in the first two presentations by Tom and Jānis, I won't spend much time on that. Maybe the things that haven't been said before. The tuition, what you pay includes everything. There's no additional fees. Like for instance, you receive a book for each subject, which, like for instance, MBA students pay additionally, which is a lot of money. But you can participate in all the events that are organized at schools, like people like Tom. They often come to workshops and seminars. And basically, once you are here, you belong to RBS community, which includes not only BBA students, but also MBA. Also, of course, all the databases we have in our library, you can get access to really significant financial databases and e-journals and stuff like that. But since we're really behind the schedule, if you don't have questions, then we can move on with our students. Or maybe surprise has happened and there are questions at this point about the application. You had a question?
Yeah, I was wondering about last year in Norway. Mm-hmm. Is it possible to take a loan for it?
I think there are no problems because we have this study fund that give loans for studies abroad. So Norway shouldn't be an exception. Anything else?
So hello, future schoolmates, I hope so. So my name is Paula and that's Vinicius, and we will try to tell you how it is, how we are living here at RBS from student point of view. At the beginning, I will shortly tell you how I made my decision to study at RBS. And actually, I could answer in one word. I made it really, really fast. Approximately 7 months before this event, I was just in the same situation like you are now, sitting in the open days, inspiring speech from Claudio and Dagnija, and I just had the feeling that this is my place. I need to be here. I was in the situation that I had 6 days to do all the things that you saw like a few moments ago. My motivation letter, the letters from advisors. I needed to find the people, needed to connect them, and I did it like really fast because I knew that I want to be here. And I just left the package for my mom because I was leaving for a journey, and I was hoping that I will have good grades in my exams, and I told her just give it to RBS and everything will be okay. And when I received my exams, I was pretty happy, and as Dagnija, I'm the one studying on scholarship. I don't want to sound arrogant, but I was really happy when I received my grades from exams. They were pretty good, so I called my mom, yeah, everything is okay, just give the documents. And I remember still the moment I was in mountains in Turkey, and I'm picking up the phone. Hey, it's RBS. We want to arrange the meeting, interview with you. I was so happy. I wish this all of you could experience this feeling that we want to interview with you, and I'm so happy. Also, I think why I got the scholarship, I think that's because of my extracurricular activities. Because when I'm here and I'm studying with all the smart persons, and I actually at some moments I can't imagine why I have it, because they are so smart, and I think that sometimes I don't understand the half of the things that others understand, but I think that extracurricular activities help me, because I have a lot of experiences in student union, folk dances, choirs, and a lot of other stuff, and I think that was the thing that was different for me.
Yeah, so my name is Vinicius, as Paula said, and I'm from Brazil, as some of you already know. And my decision process was a little bit different from Paula's, because I was actually living in Brazil, in São Paulo, and I have studied in America and in Switzerland, and then I decided to move back to Brazil. And then after 1 year living there, I realized that that was not really the right place for me to be. And then I was researching a lot of universities in Europe in the English language. And then I actually thought about Riga and started researching a little bit. And then I saw the website from RBS, and actually the slide that you saw a few minutes ago from Claudio with the course and all of the courses and the description also of each course was actually the thing that called me the most, because it was just a lot about leadership and a lot about just how to manage things, and I didn't want just a normal business studies. I mean, all the math and all of the accounting I can learn, it's okay, but the other things are just harder, and you need some support from good professors and everything. And then I said, oh, okay, let's try. And then I sent them an email, and then they said, okay, send me your things. And I said, okay, I don't have a TOEFL. Okay, let's buy a flight. When is your last test for the TOEFL? And then I bought the flight and came to Riga. And then the first time that I came was for the TOEFL exam, and that was really nice. The first moment that I came in, kind of like Paula, I felt like home. And I had my talk to Claudio and Dagnija, and that was just a very nice experience to just enter this university that just felt like home. And that was kind of my whole process of deciding to come.
And now a bit closer to how we are living here. Some days ago, one of our course mates was talking with a girl from RTU, and she asked him how it is studying at RBS. And he answered her, it's like we are one big family. And I can only agree with him, because that really is so. It feels like we are all friends, like we are studying together, we can study together, we can laugh together, we can go to some parties together, and that's really good. It's helpful. But how it is? So I think the answer is our orientation camp. We had this, you saw it in the presentation which Claudio gave you. And that was really out of the box and really challenging. For example, me, I didn't know anyone. Like when I came here, it was like I was coming, and I'm not from Riga, and I came, and then I understood that everybody else is from Riga except Winnie. And it was like, whoa. But then the camp was like, even if you are super 100% shy, you didn't have opportunity to be quiet, because even in the bus, we didn't have that cool opportunity to sit in the awkward quiet, because we had the quiz and we needed to go around the bus and talk, and it was so cool. And the camp took place at Balduana, and there were no cars, no big traffic, and that was really cool because we could do some nice sport activities, and there were also bad internet connection, but we solved that problem. As you can see here, we made our Facebook profiles, and we had the like buttons you can see there. So we were liking each other activities and getting to know each other, and it was really, really nice. We also had some team building activities. One of the craziest was called Baldona game. It's I need to say in Latvian pārgājiens because I don't know the appropriate name in English. I think it even doesn't exist. It was like 7 or 8 hours walking with the most craziest exercises to find the sexiest boy and girl at Baldona. And it's so good team building, as you can see the picture. At that moment, we knew each other like for 28, like 30 hours. And it was like, imagine doing that together. It's really good team building. We also were like, even at that time, we were able to manage our time really good because when our entertainers didn't give us some exercises, we were organizing them by our own. And we had also our evening programs. And one of the most interesting was talent evening. Here you can see the activity organized by our course mates. We were dancing and having fun, and I think, yeah, that was really, really nice. And at the end, it felt like we already know each other. When we came to school at 3rd September, it wasn't like, hello, what's your name? And it wasn't that like only thing we could talk about was why you are studying here. And we knew that we have some other things in common, not only that we are studying at RBS, and that's really, really cool. So if you will come, you will also have the opportunity to experience that, and that's really great.
This is the last picture from the camp. And then a little bit of the study program and the studying life. As Dagnija showed also the slide, we have a full-time program, and it's just a very rich program. And Dagnija and Claudio said about the very good and I don't know even a word, like prestige professors that we have, and most of them are international or have an international background, so that makes it that they are really open to connect to all of the students, and it just gives you the opportunity to learn much faster and much more efficiently. And we have also the opportunity to build, because it's the beginning of the BBA in RBS, so we have the opportunity to build together with the directors and with the professors our own way of learning and of teaching. And then if there is something that we want to suggest, there is always the space where we can go to Claudio's office or go to Dagnija, and just these things happen naturally. Like, for instance, as you saw, some of you watched the lecture from Leicester at the firm as an investment. And last semester we had this course, and some of the students got really into it and really interested, but it was quite short for one semester to learn all about investments. So the professor felt that the students wanted to learn more, and the students felt like learning more, and then just popped a new course for this semester that is actually happening right now, that is a deeper understanding of investments. And then all of the students that were interested, they are taking this course and they are loving it. And that is just, where else can you have this, that you suggest something and then in the next semester this course is already happening. And also we have all of the tutorials. We had some troubles with math in last semester, so this semester we have doubled the time for asking questions with math tutorials and all of these things. So it's just a very lively way and natural that the things happen here, and you're not at all just a number like in most of the universities. You are actually, the teachers know you by your name, and they even know some of them know a little bit about you and about your story, or where do you come from. And it's just a very nice connection between professor and student. Have anything to add? Oh yeah, we also have the guest lecturers, plus all of the good professors that we have, residents. We have, this one is Terry Adamson. He's the vice president of National Geographic, and he was in Latvia launching the Latvian version of the National Geographic last semester. And this is just one example of all of the amazing lecturers that we come and like just as a cherry on top of the cake, that we just can come and enjoy those amazing opportunities to meet these people. And also, she's going to talk about visiting companies.
Yeah, we have one more option how to broaden our minds. We can go to company visits, and that's really cool. Last semester we had the opportunity to go to Narvesen and to Lido. Next week we will have the opportunity to visit Air Baltic, and from my point of view, that's really something special, because you can go and talk to CEOs, talk to leaders of the companies, ask them your questions. For example, next week I can go and I maybe will have the opportunity to ask my question to Martin Gauss, which is CEO of Air Baltic, and that's not like, it's not happening in every university, and I find it really, really cool and inspiring.
And then we also had the very nice experience to start also from scratch a brand new student union that all of the universities have, but because we have a new bachelor's, there wasn't any here, and we didn't want to just take part of the RTU student union, but we wanted to build our own. So at the same time, that is challenging because there are no traditions and things how you have to do everything. You have the opportunity to just actually create as you think and as you've heard, and you just create anew. And this is our board. And we have 4 divisions: the education division, the external relations, the culture division, and the PR division. And then this is the president, as some of you saw today, and the vice president. And yeah, Claudia's she's, as I showed, she's the head of the culture division. She's going to tell a little bit how it is to be inside the student union.
It is really interesting to be inside the student union because we can create everything ourselves. At some moments it's really confusing because usually you have the traditions. You know that at Christmas you will organize prom at the, I don't know, that place. But here we like create everything ourselves. And as maybe those who were in the shadow days, Kristaps already told in the morning that we are not doing big things yet because we are only 38, so not a lot of human resources to use. But we are trying. We have established relationships with economic faculty at RTU, and we are also taking part at Mrs. and Mr. RTU organizational part. But we have done some activities also at previous semester. Yeah, interesting picture. Maybe some of you heard about Finanšu Tango. Our boys were also taking part. That was interesting experience for them. We also showed that we love Latvia. We planted a tree at Liktindārs. That was pretty cool because we were driving from Riga to Koknese. That's more than 100 kilometers. Boys had fun on the way, like driving fast and stuff. And that's really also a good team building. That's also at Liktindārs. We have good photographs in our BBA program. And this is chili cook-off. I think we will make it as a tradition. One of our course mates host us, and that was thanks her. And we were cooking a lot of things together and then eating all the stuff we made. And that was really, really nice. That was in the Christmas time, and that was really nice and sweet event. Yeah. Yeah,
and now it's just maybe a wrap up. I think you've got a lot of what RBS is and all of the opportunities that come if you study here. Is just a very rich program, as we said. And one thing that I forgot to say, that I just remembered now that Dagnija showed the slide about the tuition, is that this is really cheap for the product that they offer. Because I've been, as I said, when I decided to move to Europe, I researched everywhere, and the prices were so high, and was such a traditional system that they had. And RBS just has a very unique system of education, and that is not included in the price. Maybe in a few years they will just realize and just put it up, but I think it's just an amazing opportunity to actually take such an amazing product or education that they offer for this price. And this is a lot of fun, as you can see. And I hope you come.
We will wait you. You can ask questions if you have some.
Yeah.
We will try our best to answer. Don't be afraid. We are not lecturers. No grades.
Okay, the last but definitely not the least, and also thank you for your patience. We're a bit ahead of schedule. So you have heard the school's philosophy, you have heard about the program, what it is, you have heard how to get in and how it is to study there. But we also would like to show you, to experience yourself and to give a bit of classroom experience. Therefore, one of our faculty members, Raivis Lucijanovs, will give a little mini case or mini lecture or whatever he will call it. Very energetic professor, instructor, and I really believe that he will kind of wake up a little bit you if you have asleep in a bit. Raivi, the floor is yours.
Okay, good evening. My name is Raivis Lucijanovs. I'm an MBA graduate from Riga Business School, 8 years from now already. So, and yeah, I'm just taking a look at agenda of today. So we should have refreshments just now, right? So between now and refreshments, it's me. So you understand that the last speaker always has had the biggest challenge, right? So, and therefore I just, when I was considering my presentation, and giving the time pressure, so I will split my presentation in two parts. First part is a must, Lester, for you as well. Keep listening, please. So, and second part, let's decide. So, if you are very eager for refreshments, let's do it. Let's postpone it, because Dagnija mentioned quite correctly. So, classes and lectures in a business school will be in English. And you should know English a little bit, at least, in order to understand what is being presented, right? And Dagnija mentioned one key phrase which I heard. So, then you come to classes in 1st September. So, in English, there's a huge difference. Then you come, then you came, or meaning, let's say, the probability, right? She mentioned as if all of you are coming. So technically speaking, so we are expecting you all in the first day of the 1st September for BBA program. So 3 years there. So few words about myself. So I graduated some 8 years ago, and I thought I will never, think about Riga Business School. Probably sometimes I will mention it's in CV, right? So, but then all of a sudden, some 6 or 7 years ago, a faculty member called me and asked, can you replace our faculty member for 1 semester? So can you teach financial management? Just try it for 1 semester, right? And that's done. And I'm replacing that guy already for 7 years, right? So okay, it's still a part-time faculty, but I'm teaching financial management and financial managerial accounting for MBAs. So you guys are BBAs, and somebody warned me, be careful with BBAs. These guys are different. So, Master of Business Administration, and you will be a bachelor's, right? So, technically speaking, also, this year, the first semester, I will be teaching BBAs, right? So it will be an experience for myself as well. But I'm very enthusiastic because the BBA program has the most excellent program director, Claudio, who is, let's say, the key expert from ES University, and RBS was lucky to attract him, and he's here. So guys, it's another reason why you need to use this opportunity to join the program. So my short business card. So I graduated not only from Riga Business School but also from Banka Augstskola. Had some ladies mentioned KPMG. That time that company was Big Five. You know, something happened in the financial world, and Big Five auditors became Big Four auditors, right? So, but nevertheless, this company survived, right? So currently, I'm a CFO, Chief Financial Officer for the biggest, largest Latvian-Russian joint venture, Latvijas Trans. So with having 100 million lats in total assets, right? So technically, it's a really excellent experience, and I'm more than glad that I can share my financial knowledge, my knowledge of accounting to the students of Riga Business School. So that's the short background. So I'm always telling my students that nevertheless, what is your education? What is your working background? So you need always to use one powerful tool, right? So which is a buzzword probably, and everybody has that tool in his or her toolbox. So, and even in a classwork, so each student can double check, so whatever the term, so you can immediately just double check in the computer, and probably the instructor is presenting some outdated information, and you can just excel in being more updated. But still, Google, if you don't have any question, I mean, it just goes without saying, just Google it and you will find answer to any question. But the value of why we are here, so that in a course of interaction, so sharing experience through mini cases, through class contribution, through different types of examinations. So we are creating energy. We are creating, let's say, different new experience. So and that's the value of education here, right? So it's easy to say, okay, I can study home, right? So but just okay, so you will go home today, right? So what time it will be? Some 7, 8, 9. Probably somebody will arrive 6 a.m. next morning, right? It's Friday. So and what about studying, right? So, I mean, it's different. So, and we will speak shortly about the cost of studying. And you will see advantage of Riga Business School compared to which universities are the key in the US? Stanford, Harvard, right? Harvard. So you will be able to compare the, let's say, the cost of studying at Riga Business School and Harvard, and probably it's the wrong choice. Probably you need to go to Harvard immediately, today or tomorrow, right? So let's see. And the last thing about here is that I've heard a bias that financial people are kind of jerks, you know, like guys who are, you know, do not like sports, and you know, I'm trying to overcome this bias since I'm engaged in my favorite sports. I'm playing squash for more than 10 years. I'm quite enthusiastic about that sports, and therefore I'm just also engaged in social responsibility. I'm a chairman of Latvian Squash Federation. So, and I'm trying to promote the sports, right? And especially that in 8th of September in Buenos Aires, probably this kind of sports will become Olympic sports. And then we will have a boost. Probably we'll be able to compete with hockey team, with football team of Latvia in terms of financing, right? So therefore I have some financial background. Probably it will be easier to raise some funding for squash. So this will be the key slide for today, for the remaining of presentation. So studying at RBS. So why to study at Riga Business School, right? So probably you have many of reasons, but let's set some framework of analysis from financial perspective. Since you are the students of BBA, so you are facing from all the topics in the BBA program, some huge part, I would say some 5-6 topics will be finance based, right? Managerial accounting, financial reporting analysis, corporate finance. So therefore, I will try to take a look at this issue, studying at Riga Business School from financial perspective. It will be your first assignment. So you are not yet students, but you are having a first assignment yet. You will have some more. Be sure for that. Lester, probably you as well. So if you are an audience, so you are part of the group, right?
I'll give you one data point that's useful.
Okay, good.
2-year MBA now costs $55,000.
Okay, it's somewhere in between. I have the data.
29,000 lots.
29,000 lots. So I have another data. So, but it is for U.S. university?
Yeah, Duke University, the school I went to.
I have a data. So top 1,500 universities in US, the tuition fee is ranging from $30,000 to $300,000. So I mean that's a range somewhere, you know. So this is somewhere in a range.
That's the full-time MBA. The global
The
global MBA costs for 2 years $129,000.
Okay, so it's closer to 300,000.
100,000 euros.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start with the analytical framework. So we will studying at Riga Business School. So we will be engaged in critical thinking, in applying some models in thinking. Just we were saying in Latvian, you just 7 times measure and then just 1 time just make a cut, right? So we will be engaged in kind of setting models and then just cutting, right? So let's start. Education at Riga Business School, right? So in order to, how do we can provide financial perspective here? So it should be some monetary value, right? Right? Finance is something related with the cash, with money, right? And in order, if you claim the problem is of financial nature, it should be related with finance. So cash-based or non-cash based but monetary based, right? So education definitely will have its cost, right? Is it free of charge? So you will be a student of BBA. Is it free of charge, or you should pay something, right? So you will incur some cost. You will pay for your studies, for your 3-year studies or 4-year studies, for those who will choose to join Buffalo University, right? Cost. Education. So, and what is the outcome? So, what are the expectations? So, you will be paying cash for 3-year or 4-year studies. So, what are your expectations then?
You will earn money.
Skills. So, you will speak about. So, you are mentioning different perspectives of how you measure the value which you get out of studying, right? Right. So. Let's speak about cost. How much does it cost to become a student of Riga Business School? Do you know? So financial management and accounting as well, but financial management probably more, is related with scenario analysis. So just before you become a student of Riga Business School, you have 3 scenarios, right? Scenario 1, scenario 2, scenario 3. Means what? First scenario, you can study for 3 years in Riga, right? So 3 years Riga, right? 6 semesters, 3 years, solely based on Riga. What is the second scenario? What is the second option? 2 years in Riga? Yes. So second scenario, 2 years in Riga, plus 1 year Norway. Right? And what is the third scenario? 3 years in Riga, right? Dagnija, 3 years in Riga. So 3 years in Riga and 1 year in US. Buffalo is US or Canada? US, right?
It's the US.
So, okay. This is the input information for our financial problem, right? So how can we monetize that? So you can claim that what are the annual? You can set a monetary value. What is the annual cost of studying, let's say, 1 year in Riga? Do you know?
3,000 euros.
Okay, let's put it 3,000. It should be some 74, right? 3,000 euros. If you choose to go for Norway, 10,550. So everything in euros. And here in US, about the same, a little bit higher, 11,450. So now we have, let's say, almost all the input information, except that let's assume in all financial problems you also need to take into account some assumptions. So first assumption, if you study in Riga, living costs, probably all of you live in Riga or in a neighborhood, so it's not an extra cost, right, for studying in Riga. When you go to Norway, when you go to US, some living cost, those who are returning 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, some disco and whatsoever, some leisure whatsoever, some extra costs coming in. So we will, within the scope of this analysis, we will eliminate living costs. We will focus on tuition fees. These are tuition fees in euros, right? So let's set the first assumption. So we can design our first simplified financial model, right? So we can design a timeline, which actually some experienced managers also use in a problem-solving financial nature. We can design a timeline, which means we have 3 years here, 3 years here, and 4 years in a scenario number 3, right? Correct? So far. So we can design a timeline for scenarios. So today we will designate this period 0, which is today, and since the school most probably will require, or will be more than happy to receive the payment before the fact rather than after, so we will just consider that the first payment comes, let's say today, or at the first day of studying, right? Annual payment, so 3,074, lots coming there. So, and we are covering the year number 1. Second year, third year, and fourth year. So second year tuition will be paid, let's assume at the beginning of before the second year, third year tuition before the beginning of third year. So this is a scenario for, or this is a timeline for first scenario. Timeline for the second scenario is quite similar. We have 2 years in Riga and third year in Norway, right? So the same timeline for year 1 and year 2. So year 1 covered, year 2 covered. And for year 3 we have 3, 6, 9, something like here, 10,540, right? Correct? So far correct? And the last one, if it is US, so we have the 3 years studying in Riga, and fourth year, a little bit more, 11,450. Be careful. What if it's instead of comma, it's decimal point? How do you read? 10 decimal point 540. Is it 10,000 or is it 10 euro 54 euro cents? Be careful. It's a little bit funny, but just this week I just adjusted the contract, a legal contract between 2 legal parties. One party was ours, and since I'm responsible for internal control, so if somebody was mentioning the 10,000 for 540 like this. You read it 10 euro 54 euro cents. If you put comma, this is 10,540.
In Italian, that's 1054.
Yes. So the idea is if you speak about American-based, let's say, principles, so I mean, be careful. In Italy, probably then if you are making the contract, right? So you must be following the local rules. So this is the model. So meaning roughly, we can estimate what is the total cost of education. What is the total cost for education for first year? So technically, very shortly, when we speak about financial management, we will need to take into account time value of money. So the money has its value, and 3,000 today, of course, are more let's say, are more worth, have more worth than 3,000 in 1 year's time. In other words, 3,000 you can, whatever, invest in some financial assets, in land and whatsoever, and you can earn slightly more or much more in a year's time. So therefore, in financial world, we will apply discounting, which we will skip here due to time pressures. And let's approximate what is the total. Let's say if the second assumption is no discounting, I will explain in half year what does it mean. So in more details. So total cost of studying, first scenario.
92.22.
Yeah, let's say 9.2 in this case. 9.2 thousand euro, right? Second scenario, 2 times 3, and it's 16 point something, right? 6, let's say, or 7. And slightly more, 17 point, no, it's not 17. So it's 3 years, so it's 9.2, and you need to add, so it's 20, right? Let's approximate, right? So you have scenarios, cost of studying, 9,000, nearly 17,000, and 20,000 euros, right? Correct? Correct? Refreshments are coming, so just very, very shortly. So it's last meters. 9, 17, and 20. So you have 3 scenarios. I mentioned about Harvard. If you are about to go to Harvard, so let's put it in opposite, something like close to, let's approximate $300,000, right? Of course, in monetary terms, of course, you need to compare what is included in let's say in a package, right? So what is Harvard proposing? What is the proposal of Harvard compared to Riga Business School, right? So I mean, at this point, so let's stop at this, and we will not get in details, because in short, what does it mean? In order to study at Harvard, probably you will need to move to Harvard, right? So you will need to move completely to there. Probably it's some online study or whatsoever, but it's different model, and we are comparing the studying approaches one-to-one. So you'll need to move to Harvard, change your habits. So, and if it's important enough, you will do it. But it's $300,000. Riga Business School is available here. You can work in Riga or in neighborhoods, right? So, and you can choose one of the 3 scenario. Cost, let's say it's clear. Education, so you know what are the ingredients of the BBA degree, right? There are financial courses, accounting, finance-related, marketing, strategy, corporate governance, organizational behavior. You will have mathematics as well, right? So it's a lot of different, let's say, courses will be covered during the 6 semesters, 3 years time or 4 years time. So it will be completed by the thesis, so your individual works, right? Still. What about value? So in other words, you are investing from 9 to 20,000 euro money-wise. You're investing 3 or 4 years of your life. So these are weekends. These are hot summer days. Probably not always from morning to the night, but some part of the day still will be, devoted for studying, for preparing for exams, for group works. So is it worth it? So what's the value? Is value really higher than the investment of time and cash? So what are your feelings? So why are you here actually? How strong is your desire, right? So here, I mean, I would put a perspective of from two point of views. One is monetary, and another is non-monetary. So monetary, we have such a term in financial world, ROE. Do you know what that stands for? ROE. Return on investment. So it's not fair. You're working for a Riga Business School, you know it. So return on investment. So you have an investment, whatever it's 9, 17, or 20,000 euros. So this is an investment for next 3 or 4 years, right? What is the return? So how can you monetize your value? Do you have any ideas? So how you will get back your $9,000 or $20,000 or euro in this case? How you will get those back? Getting a job. Can't you get a job without a degree of from Riga Business School?
About how to create business ideas, how go to live our imagination.
Yeah.
And I think it's
yeah. So it's not just about, I mean, I remember Bangkok was, of course, a very good school, right? But I was there in the wrong timing. It was some 15 years back, and we were sitting in all the class and writing what the lecturer was telling us as students. No PowerPoint, nothing. So all the lecture. So I mean, 4 years, right? Just writing in a class. So what the lecturer is telling. I mean, and that's a lot of time which was spent, you know, inefficiently. Here you come. I mean, of course, it's a routine practice for all schools, basically. I would like to think it's all schools, right? So it's a tremendous saving of time. You come to class, we expect you come prepared, you have read the chapters, done the homework, you're ready to create energy in a room, right? So we are, so it's approximately, it depends on a BBA and MBA program. MBA program is spending 3 hours. For an evening session, you will have some hourly sessions throughout the day, right? So therefore, I mean, the efficiency is there, right? So, and yes, you're correct that here we are not repeating definitions. We are challenging the different solutions. So we are taking a perspective of how the problem can be solved in more than one way, and it's definitely I mean, it's everyday situation. You're facing many problems, business of business nature, of non-business nature, and you are some of philosophers even mentioned that the human being is condemned to choose. That's reality. So we are condemned to choose. So we are forced to choose from many alternatives. Some alternatives we accept, some alternatives we just don't hear or don't see, because opportunities come to prepared minds. So Riga Business School prepares minds, so meaning that it's not free of charge, this slogan, we share success, right? So actually, who invented this? Was it you? So we share success, this teamwork. So it's, I mean, and success, I mean, it comes out of prepared minds. So, and the idea is that here, these teamworks, these classworks it's a mini environment, so which you should, let's say, practice in a real life, right? So with other prepared minds, and that's how the ideas are just being exchanged, and the good ideas are being materialized, right? So that's the idea. So we here practice critical thinking, reviewing the problems from different perspectives, right? So in order to be as efficient as possible. So, and in terms of monetary value, yes, somebody mentioned about getting a job, right? So I'm more than sure that everybody of you can, if not yet, somebody has some jobs already. So you can get a job even with a degree of from Riga Business School, but this return on investment can be measured. What would be the differential of your salary or your income with degree of from Riga Business School or without? Of course, in American context, it's more fundamental research that there is more cause and effect relationship. Here in Latvia, probably we will not have clear evidence. So what would be my earnings over the next 30 years, which is the methodology for these 1,500 universities in US? It will be more estimates here, but still you can estimate what would be your earnings over the next 30 years, right? So and you can think what would be your earnings without Riga Business School education, and that is the return which you are getting from the BBA degree from Riga Business School. So and it means that if you are you sure or not? So 9,000 euro or 20,000 euro. What is the payback period over 30 years? In terms of payback, probably you will just, I mean, it's a couple of years, if not less. You will refund it back in absolute terms, right? But from return on investment perspective, in this case, I'm more than sure. So it's not only the monetary value, but it's like what you just mentioned. It's the model of lifestyle in a business context. So what we are practicing here, these skills are invaluable. So you're out of this mini environment to the real life, and you're workable manager in whatever area you are responsible for, right? So therefore, the value here, and I'm more than sure about that, is covering the cost in a given circumstances. Of course, if I decided to go to Harvard, let's say some 10 years or 15 years ago, it could be done. But probably we will not see each other here, right? So probably it would. If you go to Harvard, probably it's very difficult to come back, right? So and I mean that is different decision-making scenario. Both are viable, but here, let's say, education at Riga Business School provides you with opportunities to be here. Still, you can think globally. I think I had some very short YouTube slide. Yes.
In January of 2009, I was sitting with top managers, like now, to discuss their expansion plan. But less than 5 minutes since the meeting started, and it became apparent that what is on their mind is basically the opposite. How many people to lay off? Let me describe their situation.
So it's a 10-minute presentation, but I will show you the very last slide, right? So you will be able to watch it yourselves. So
we don't think globally.
This is the guy who is speaking here. Now I must say he was a business guru because he passed away 2 years ago. And the reason why I'm telling this, it's very interesting. This is Eliyahu Goldratt, business management guru from Israeli. He invented the theory of constraints for optimal production, from optimal production theory. And why I'm telling this, the story is really interesting. I was changing, you saw it was some short list of my working experience. I was changing the companies after I graduated from Riga Business School, and it was a choice for me. I was, again, condemned to choice. Either to attend Riga Business School graduation party or meet this guy in airport of Amsterdam. Just before, I was not even employed by the new company, but they invited me to participate in a discussion with this guy. So, yeah, it was a tough decision, right? But probably correct one. So I chose to skip. You know, it was difficult years in studying at Riga Business School, and you are missing your party, right? So somehow it happens. But I was meeting the guy in airport of Amsterdam face to face, and I mean, that is a full of. I mean, this half an hour just completely just. You know, and you're facing you're not only reading, you're not only watching on YouTube or whatsoever, but you're facing the guy. I mean, it was some very, I would say, if I say it's a very useful experience, it's a huge understatement, right? So, I mean, it's a big impression. But when I came back, I was so unhappy what I missed the Riga Business School graduation party. I asked Jānis Grēviņš, who is still our manager of the school, can you arrange for me individual graduation party? And the guy did. So I had my individual graduation party from Riga Business School. But still, I've met this Eliyahu Goldratt, who was actually a very inspirational business leader. And if you Google Goldratt Think Globally, you will see these 10 minutes in full. So why I'm saying this? Thinking globally, right? So I mean, this is another perspective of being students or being a part of Riga Business School. So we will think globally here because Latvia, you know, is joining the euro 1st of January. All of our earnings will be denominated in euro in less than half year time, right? So therefore, I mean, and the world is open. And the Riga Business School education, BBA and MBA degrees provided a knowledge toolbox with the help of which you will be able, to work any place you choose. So, I promised some test. First test was more of general nature about the cost of education and value of education. Within a scope of financial management, we are also discussing behavioral finance. So how people behave then when faced with investment type of decisions. So here you have a unique opportunity. I mean, if you not follow that, I mean, you miss it. So you have a unique opportunity to test yourselves from the perspective of how you are perceiving the risk. So if you think in let's say two broad extremes, risk taker and the guy who hates risk, so very reluctant to risk, and then somebody in the middle. So do you know what type of let's say investor, if you think in this term, you are, each of you? You know? Can you join myself on a stage? Let's test your knowledge. So one guy, some more volunteers. Do you know yourself? Let's go on. Let's test. Let's try to test it. And one more. I need 3 guys. Ladies. The most brave people from my 7 years of experience are sitting in the first row. So Lester doesn't count. He's very, very forward. So one of you guys. Are you ready? No? So you are not a risk taker. Okay. So you must carefully listen to instructions. We will define your attitude to risk. So it's like in sports. So can you just stay here, right? And the idea is that, or the task will be, I will give you a white sheet of paper, right? So, and the idea would be that you would need to deliver this white sheet of paper in a dustbin. And in order to make this exercise even more difficult, let's put it, like in a basketball. So you need to deliver. So, and let's do it one by one, right? You need to deliver the sheet of paper to the dustbin. So the instructions are that you can do with the paper whatever. You can try to throw it like this. You can make an airplane. You can do like whatever. What is your strategy to deliver the sheet of paper to the dustbin? And all of us, by reviewing how you are doing that, we will decide: are you a risk taker? Do you hate risk, or are you somewhere in between? Ready? Are you ready? Yes? So you need to deliver your sheet of paper in a dustbin. You can choose a strategy. So one by one, who is first? Okay. Good. Also good.
Can I just go and put it?
So can you stay, please? So we have 3 types of evidence, or let's say 2 types of evidence. 2 guys missed, and 1 guy reached the target. Right? Instructions. Did we have instructions? Stay on that spot and just don't move. No, right? So you could do whatever. You can do whatever with the white sheet of paper. You can walk around. So, but here, let's say your name is Edgar. Raivis. And your name is Paula. So Edgars and Paula, if you think in terms of risk attitude, they like risk or they hate risk? They don't like risk? Why? If they moved, does it mean they like risk? So your name is? Gustav. Gustav was risky. He just went to the target as close as possible and did. This is difficult. Yes, but meaning that he needed to reach the result, and he did it. From is it difficult to perform the task as he did?
Yes, it is difficult. Go outside the system and looking in.
He did it. Is he a risk taker or he is a risk hater? Risk hater? Risk taker. How would you speak about these guys? Risk haters or risk takers?
Somewhere between.
Okay. So our refreshments are moving much more further. So if we continue this discussion, so let me just there is something in your logics, and it's not black or white in this case. So from the perspective of reaching the goal, right? So out of 3 scenarios, so let's say 1 was efficient, right? So if you think from, let's say, risk capital perspective. So if you are a startup, right, you just establish your business, it's almost impossible to raise funding from the banking system because you don't have any track of record, you don't have any assets, you have only, what is in your pockets and what can you borrow from your relatives, friends, whatever. And these are 3 risk capital investors. Each of these guys represent, let's say, the financial institution, and each of them issued a loan to the startup business. These 2 guys never get back the investment. Gustav's got it back. Of course, I can agree that we are reviewing many different aspects here. So, right?
Risky because he asked if he could do it before he went to the trash can.
And these guys never asked about it. So they did it, and they never asked about, is it some other way how to resolve the issue, right?
Yeah, but he asked it, so he played it pretty safe.
Yeah. So basically, you guys try to reach the goal, reach the target with the most difficult, let's say, approach, right? So Gustav did it in terms of effort to the least risky. So I can agree to Vitalis, right? So still remember, yes. So there are more than one solutions here, but let's take some point of view that we have 2 different approaches here, 2 different results. One of them was risk taker, one of them was risk lover. So and based on these, let's say, based on this exercise, so you can just think what you could do, what would be your approach in this situation, and basically, this simple exercise, it's somehow mirroring your, let's say, approach. Then you are facing different problems, whatever financial, non-financial nature. So you can provide some conclusions out of this, right? So might be so that tomorrow you would think differently, right? But in this particular moment, at this particular place, if you made a decision to invest, right? So you made a decision, right? So and each investment is based on risk and return. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. So. And the very last, so end of part 1, part 2 probably will be postponed to the first semester or second semester. So end of the part 1, the question which I will raise to you, if I were admission commissioner at Riga Business School, I would ask only one question, which I will not do right now. And if you provide the answer to that question, I would, how do you call it, admit a student, right? Enroll. That meaning the guy becomes a student. I would enroll each of you immediately. So I shouldn't say that Dagnija is here. So the question. So if you provide an answer that indicates that you are thinking, as you mentioned, or somebody mentioned, that you are not thinking in a box. You're thinking a little bit broader. There was some huge American or Canadian company management meeting, right? And the CEO raised the problem. We have a industry X, product Y, and we have a 20% market share for this particular product. He asked to his management team. So and we need to expand, not like in this scenario, expand and lay off people, but expand and maintain people. Right? Not to fire people. So we need to expand. So we have a market share of 20% for this particular product. And we need to grow. We need to reach better financial results. So, but I have one CEO had one constraint. You need to decrease the market share from 20% to 2%. Right? You need to grow, but you need to decrease the market share. We all know what is the market share, right? So how much of the market for particular product in particular product segment the company has, right? So you need to decrease the market share from 20% to 2% and produce more profits. So how can we do it?
You have to become internationally acknowledged.
Dagnija, just the name and the surname, and we have the first student. So yes, I mean, the first question would be 20% of what? Of what is the market we are speaking about? What is the market share? What is the share of market? What is the market we are speaking about? Most likely some region, some limited region, right? So, and if you think that this is some limited region, North American, American, whatsoever. So, if you think globally, right? So, if the ambition is 20% of American market or 2% of global market, that makes a difference, right? So we have the first student, right? So this is the end of the first part. Second part, I mean, it's refreshments are still there. So I do hope to see you during first semester at the Riga Business School. Please think globally, think carefully, and make the right decision. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Raivis. Your course wasn't my favorite, but as an instructor, you were one of my favorite instructors.
Okay. Thank you very
and thank
much.
you for your time.
Thank you.
And also, what I forgot to thank Lester as well. We have a little gift for you as well. Thank you for being with us today as well. Thank you. Also, of course, we would like to thank you for coming, for being here with us. The fact that you are here in the Friday evening, that you stay till end, that already shows that you have some goals and you think about your future and so on. And I also personally would be very happy to receive your applications and see you here as students in September. One little very important formality. There is a questionnaire, like in the papers you have on the desk. Please fill those in and leave with us. It's important for us. If you have any feedback, also you can leave that there about the event. Plus, if you know already, if we got you interested, and if you would like to apply, and if you would like to register for TOEFL test next Saturday, then you can make a note about that on this questionnaire as well. As Raivis mentioned, we still have refreshments there, and if you have some more questions, detailed questions, etc., then me, my colleagues, students, hopefully as well, I'm gonna stay here for a while, and you can get all the answers to your questions. Plus, we were so happy to see even a family here, and the father also. So thank you, really, thank you very much for coming, and hope to see you in September.